Family laid to rest this week. A pregnant Louisville woman gunned down at the start of the new year. Jakia Holt was shot several times inside her car with her children in the back seat. WLKY's Shaquille Lord spoke with her father, who has more questions than answers.
It's hard. It's hard to let go. You know, it's hard to let go of somebody that you love, and especially a mom with kids. I mean, how do you let go?
James Holt. So many of these stories I do on these sisters that get just shot down like mobsters. I mean, Paul Castellano. These are like mob hits, man, from the movies. These just sisters going about their business. And no, I'm not like focusing on this is just how many of them are getting killed. But so many of them have fathers in their lives. That's why I tell you the role of the father is overrated, okay? When it comes to the stand. The stand nullifies that because there's so much violence and it's so random in nature and it's so haphazard in nature. Sporadic and spur of the moment and reckless that most of these girls that get killed have fathers. But yeah, she was driving with her kids in the car. Some men came up and sprayed the vehicle. Some gangbangers, some homies. That's why I rebel against whenever somebody's on the live stream. Make sure you join us every Tuesday and Friday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Ock Nation TV. The link is in the description box. Also join my Patreon so you can find me anytime. Fathers, man. A lot of people talk about fathers on the live stream. That's the problem. These kids don't have... Well, listen. There's nothing a father can do, man, in the stand to prevent violence. Unless he moves out of the stand. Moves his family out of the stand. But as long as his family lives in the stand or they're stand proximal or stand adjacent, sunman adjacent, having a father don't matter.
It's hard. It's hard to let go. You know, it's hard to let go of somebody that you love, and especially a mom with kids. I mean, how do you let go?
James Holt says the death of his daughter, 36-year-old Jakia Holt, still doesn't feel real.
I don't think people realize that when you pull that trigger, that person is not coming back. And that person's family has had to deal with the pain that gun violence has caused.
The pregnant mother of 5 was gunned down inside her car January 3rd at Northwestern Parkway at the edge of the Shawnee and Portland neighborhoods. We're told she wasn't alone in the car at the time.
There was kids in the back seat when the car got shot up. So it wasn't just her in the car.
Miraculously, none of them were hit by the gunfire. James tells me they were praying for a miracle as she was in the hospital fighting for her life. But with no brain activity, her family decided to pull the plug last weekend.
It was just pain and anguish to see my daughter laid up like that.
Police tell us at this point they have no leads into a possible motive or a suspect.
No leads into a possible motive or a suspect. No leads. None. But the community's up in arms about Lawrence Smith Fields. We got to find out. We suing the police department. We marching. We having protests. We having rallies. Because they think a glider did it. Glider was the last man who seen her alive. This woman and the hundreds of her like her that I've covered just this year. No one cares. And everyone knows who did this. There's no doubt anybody about who did this. It was a Sun man. Which particular one, we don't know. Why, we don't know. We know it was a son, man. Her life means nothing to us. Had it been a glider, this would be on CNN and MSNBC.
Police tell us at this point they have no leads into a possible motive or a suspect. There's been nearly 10 homicides in the first 2 weeks of 2022, including another pregnant woman who was gunned down a week later.
Including another pregnant woman who was gunned down a week later. What is going on in the stand? And where are the sisters talking about this? Salute to Leandria TV and Leah Gordon. And it's some sisters out there talking about this. But look at what the sisters did when the crackhead resisted arrest and had a heart attack in police custody up there in Minneapolis. Look what they did when the drunk dude, the drunk jailbird, took the police taser and shot him with it and got shot back in Atlanta. Them sisters went crazy. They galvanized the movement the likes before never seen.
There's been nearly 10 homicides in the first 2 weeks of 2022, including another pregnant woman who was gunned down a week later. The deadly violence just continuing from what Louisville saw in 2021, with more than 180 criminal homicides.
Why? You know, it's too much senseless murder, too many unsolved murders in this city.
But no tears for James right now. He says his focus includes the mental well-being of his grandchildren and hoping for answers.
I'm sure I'm not the only dad or only parent asking why, but the murders are senseless. They have to stop.
Shaquille Lord, WLKY News.
It's how do you do this to another human being? I can't. It's unimaginable.
41-year-old Devon Marsh accused of the unthinkable. Detroit police say last Friday during an argument with his live-in girlfriend at their home off Packer near Outer Drive, he allegedly doused her with lighter fluid and set her on fire. She is 6.5 months pregnant with twins.
This is strange. This is just odd that this is the new stance, the new tact, the new disposition, the new dynamic between sun men and sun women. It's just like, what? Well, I'm going to just get some lighter fluid, douse you, and set you on fire. We at the gas station. Can I get your number? Nah. All right, I'm going to just shoot up the car and kill everybody in it. What the heck is going on, man? I'm at a loss. I just don't know what's going on. If you knew how many videos I had in the queue of this type of stuff, that I'm trying to get. I've been traveling the last week. I've been, got a baby. You just don't know how many videos I have in the queue of this type of stuff. Gangland style, where sisters not involved in the streets at all, just getting whacked out like mobsters, broad daylight, no suspects in custody. This guy's in custody, but
41-year-old Devon Marsh accused of the unthinkable. Detroit police say last Friday during an argument with his live-in girlfriend at their home off Packer near Outer Drive, he allegedly doused her with lighter fluid and set her on fire. She is 6.5 months pregnant with twins.
Just incredibly traumatic injuries. I did see pictures, and I mean, the pain that she must be suffering, I can't imagine.
Commander Michael McGinnis says the woman has third-degree burns on 60% of her body and is in critical condition. It's unclear if her babies will survive.
They don't even have a chance. They don't have a fighting chance at life.
Sergeant Kyla Williams, who runs DPD's domestic violence unit, says the pregnant woman was scared to report what happened to her for fear of retaliation. But a tipster reported the crime, and later the woman felt safe enough to tell her story.
I want to applaud her for coming forward. I want to, again, let her know that she is not alone.
Case number is 22055. 296.
Marsh, here in court this week, is a parole absconder, has a lengthy criminal past from drugs and gun charges to assault. He had warrants out of Macomb County and a pending case in Livonia.
Now, the lengthy rap sheet harkens the question. And you can't... Listen, this is where we're at. It's very hard to just poo-poo or shoot down somebody who says, well, why was she dealing with a guy like that? Well, listen, if she was too afraid to tell the cop that she shows up at the hospital with third-degree burns on 60% of her body, and she don't want to tell what happened to her because she's scared of this guy so much. And this guy's a violent criminal. She may have been trapped in a relationship with a psychopath. And listen, man, I've been on both ends of that, man. I've had a girl that, stalked me, and I got in a real bad place with one girl where I just couldn't get her out of my system, and I did some crazy things, man. So I've been on both sides of this, man. It's not as easy as you think. You just don't tell a guy like this, we've broken up. It's hard for them to get out of these relationships sometimes, man. You got to be sympathetic to that, man.
Marsh, here in court this week, is a parole absconder, has a lengthy criminal past from drugs and gun charges to assault. He had warrants out of Macomb County and a pending case in Livonia.
We just hope that he remains in custody through the trial process so that the victim can heal without the fear of any kind of retribution from him.
Even with his prior convictions, some of which were violent, bond was set in this case at $50,000, 10%. That means he can get out of jail if he can come up with just $5,000.
Now, this is why I don't feel sorry for sisters. This was a demand. This right here, this bail reform, they didn't ask for it. They didn't suggest it. They didn't plead for it. They demanded this. Along the lines that bail was racist. Because, all glacier gliders are rich. So they can pay bail. And all Sun people are poor, so we can't pay bail. They demanded this. I know you guys remember. It wasn't too long ago. This is the Blackistanian spring, the summer of George Floyd. This was a demand. In some places, there would be no bail. And the judges and the DAs, they're all on board with this stuff, man. $5,000 this guy gets out. This woman could be in her hospital room, laid up, and this fool could show up in her hospital room and finish her off. Imagine what go through her mind when she laid up in that hospital room in critical condition, and she hears a voice, and it's him. And she may be able to open her eyes or not. But that buzzer to alert the nurses is far away. And it's this fool talking to her, threatening her. She could smell his breath. She could feel his shadow looming over her. Sisters demanded this. This was not a plea. This wasn't something. They demanded that their kings, the system, go easy on their kings and light sentences, no bail in certain states where it's applicable, and in states where they wouldn't bend that far, okay, well, very low bails, regardless of what he does. And look at the nation, look at the country that they left behind. Sisters and pasty liberals have destroyed public safety in this country.
Even with his prior convictions, some of which were violent, bond was set in this case at $50,000, 10%. That means he can get out of jail if he can come up with just $5,000. Reporting downtown Detroit, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.